I just want to start this video off with a thank you. We just hit 100 subscribers, and I cannot be more thankful for that. And that being said, if you guys have any stories that you want me to narrate, please leave them in the two links, the Reddit and my email is down below. And I would love to narrate your stories. With that being said, if you guys do like the stories, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe, and sit back, relax, and enjoy. So I have a husky that I walk around my quiet neighborhood and brush outside for obvious reasons. Yesterday around 3 p.m., I'm standing in front of my driveway brushing my dog when I turn around to see a complete stranger standing behind me. He begins by asking me if he can say hi to my dog because he's seen me around a lot. And already I'm hesitant, but I allow it. And at this time I notice he's on FaceTime with his phone pointing at me too. Then he tells me he just moved here from South Africa and bought the house at the end of the road that's been abandoned for over a year now and was never posted for sale. He starts asking me if I'm 16 because he likes 16-year-olds, following up with, "Are you alone right now? Is this your house? Is this your car? Do you live alone? Are you around often?" etc. I politely ask I'm not willing to answer questions like that and tell him he should leave. He walks into the woods across the street, coming back 15 minutes later, attempting to invite himself into my house and asking more questions, this time along the lines of, "Do you lock your doors? And are you alone that night?" Getting upset with me for saying I do not want him on my property and I would be calling our cop neighbor to come outside if he did not leave me alone. He stood in the street watching me walk into the house and lock up before walking away back to the abandoned house. Now I'm just left thinking if I'm overreacting or if being totally creeped out is the correct response. Update: I've put in a report and spoken to a couple neighbors, but none of them have seen him around, which I guess is good. And thank you to everyone for the concerns and advice. I went to a local thrift store today to check out some bookcases or TV stands, since I just moved into a new place and needed new furniture. I was checking out a bookcase and looking for a tag. Sometimes they're in strange places, so I did a little hop to see if I couldn't see one. A man to the right of me says, "What are you looking for up there?" At first I didn't pay him any mind and did a courteous chuckle in his direction. I winded myself through the little maze of bookshelves and random furniture and didn't think anything of it until I happened to be able to see over a piece, and he was staring at me. I kept maneuvering through the store, and everywhere he appeared, I picked up something and was looking at it, and all of a sudden he was right there and was about to say something. I went to the other side of the store. All of a sudden he's there, asking me if I had a restaurant recommendation in the area. I said, no. I turned around and moved my knife from my purse to my back pocket, hoping he'd notice. Apparently he didn't, because back in another corner, he's there again. I call my partner, and this finally seems to get him to move away. He kept going around to random spots and picking up objects and staring at me. I stayed up on the phone, and my partner said I should just leave, but I didn't want to. I had a purpose being there, and I wasn't going to let him ruin it. Luckily, he finally departed without buying anything. I tried to keep an eye out when he left, but I didn't see exactly if he drove off or not, so I was a little spooked when leaving. Luckily, I bought a table, so someone escorted me to my truck with it. To this dude, please leave us alone. We're just shopping. I'm not here for you. This encounter just happened under an hour ago, and I'm still shaken. My family and I are on a short vacation, and we're staying in a hotel for a couple of days. We're staying in a city type of place, so a lot of small shops and places to eat are nearby. We were going to eat dinner at the hotel grill, but we ended up going to a pub after waiting 2 hours for terrible food and service. After we paid the bill, we thought everything was great until we left the pub. It was dark outside, and I was the first one out the door. My sisters and mother behind me. There was a homeless man that had seemed to appear out of nowhere in front of me. When I turned away from the pub doors, he was desperately asking my sister and I for change. We both didn't know what to say. Turned to her mother, and she told the man we didn't have anything. He didn't seem satisfied with my mother's answer, but he responded simply with a, "Okay." We thought everything was all right, until we noticed he quickly started to follow us. Our mom grabbed my two sisters' hands tightly and told us to walk faster. We all quickened our pace, starting to panic. I could feel my heart racing. The man also started to catch up to us. Our mother told us to stay up front and gave me my youngest sister's hand. I am the oldest. While she went slightly behind to get ready to fight, we were all still in shock. I couldn't speak. We were almost running until 3 more homeless guys were up ahead, in front of us. They just seemed to again appear and disappear like that. They were approaching us too, and with the guy behind us, our mom yelled for us to cross the road. It felt like these men were closing in on us, booking it through the busy street. I looked back and the original guy is still following us. I told my mom this and she didn't believe me at first, until the dude was eyeing us across the street and still kept up his pace. We eventually ran and made it to the hotel. I was terrified and was the first one to make it back to our room. We all calmed down and I checked to see if the homeless guy was still outside. He was walking in front of the convenience stores across the road and kept looking at the hotel. He eventually sat down in front of one of the stores and just glared at the hotel. He is still there. This is an ongoing situation. I doubt we will see him in the morning. I hope that we don't see him again. Be careful when walking out at night, especially in urban areas. First of all, English isn't my first language. I'm sorry if everything isn't 100% clear. The story takes place a few years ago while I was still with my ex-girlfriend. I was 17 or 18 at this moment. I was living with my parents and we lived in a little town of 300 people. It's literally camping with 3 farms in this town, which includes a lot of fields. We had the habits of walking into those fields, thanks to a little patch which is really old. There's a place for only 1 car, truck, or tractor. It was an afternoon, about 5 or 6 p.m., and we decided to eat some stuff into a field near the road, so we can see the road and people on the road see us. The field, which belongs to my neighbor, who are okay with the fact that we're here, is separated from the road, thanks to barbed wire. It's a few miles from my parents' house. We smoke weed, we drink, we eat, we listen to music, everything is alright. However, at one point, a car parks on the middle of the road, and a guy went out of his car, and is doing stuff on the bushes. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, the dude is just picking stuff like nuts or whatever, because it's the end of the summer, but I keep an eye on him. I talk with my girlfriend just like I did all afternoon, until then, and I look back at him. The guy is standing still, behind his car, and he's looking right at us, motionless. I don't say anything, and look back at my girlfriend. I give another look. 30 seconds to a minute later, the guy has moved. He's now at the other side of his car, and same thing, no motion, just looking at us. Same process is about to be repeated 2 or 3 times, with him at different locations around his car. I have chills, and thinking the situation isn't normal at all. The guy suddenly went back into his car and moves away. At this moment, I told to my girlfriend, "Pick your things up, we're moving." She thinks I'm kind of overreacting, thinking I'm paranoid because of the weed we smoked, but she listens to me. We're back on the road going the other way. The guy went. The road is a circle, every way leads back to my house. And guess who has turned around and is coming right behind us with his car? This guy. Still looking at us while driving. He keeps his road and turns around, once again, to keep staring at us. The process repeats 2 times. At this moment, my girlfriend told me I was right, so we took his plate and tried to call my parents. No one was answering. The last time the guy passed at our level, I can clearly see something on his passenger seat, but I don't know what it was. But my neighbor came right behind me with his truck. I stopped my neighbor and told her what we just witnessed. She gets us in the truck. We went back to my parents' home. My dad is a cop. I told him the plate. He looked at it. The car belonged to a grandma and was stolen. End of this part of the story. So a few weeks later, as every day, I go take my bus in the next town, which is about a 7-minute bike ride. It was still dark because it's pretty early in the morning. When I left my parents' home on my bike, I noticed lights behind me. It was his car. I don't know how he knew I was there. Maybe it's pure bad luck from me, but I'm 100% sure it was his car. He followed me until I took a path which a car can't use. Only bikes and pedestrians can take it. I turned off my light and drove until I went to my bus in the complete dark, in order to not be seen by this guy. I kept using this way for the next 2 years, and I've never met him again. To the guy that stole a grandma's car and stalked me and my girlfriend, let's not meet again. I'm not sure if I'm being irrational in my fears, so I thought it'd be best to post about it to see if others agree or not. I love going on walks by myself. I struggle with mental health issues, and my walks alone, especially on sunny days, have been one of the only things to help elevate my spirals and such. So about a week ago, I had gone on one of my walks like normal. I started it and I noticed a guy on a motorized bike pass by my street in front of me and had the thought of, that is the guy that was hanging out at my gas station who was eyeing me the last time I went on a walk. But other than that, I was like, I'm sure he's just going on a ride. Don't think too much about it. I walked down a few blocks just listening to my music and enjoying the sun when I saw him again, 2 blocks down, crossing the street. But this time, he had stopped in the middle of the road, mid-crossing the street, and I saw him looking in my direction. This set an alert off in my head, so I took my headphones off while continuing to walk so I could have a bit more awareness of my surroundings. I decided to turn right on the block I was on because I was not wanting to meet up with that guy. As I got down towards the end of the block, I heard his bike again, so I turned out to see if he was in eyeshot. He was. He was at the church on the next block over, on the same street, parked, and he was looking in my direction again. I only looked for a couple of seconds, because I was scared if he saw me looking at him, he would think I wanted to talk to him. The road I was on leads directly to an isolated road where there's a large field and not many houses. That is the usual path I take on my walks, but I had a very strong gut feeling that telling me not to go that way at this time. So I had turned the corner onto the street that takes me directly back to my house. It felt almost as if he was waiting for me to see what direction I was going, because as soon as I turned, I heard his bike rev up again. I was starting to feel quite panicked, so I started to rapid fire text my boyfriend, just as a someone needs to know my location type of thing. As I got to the block in front of my house, ready to cross the street to head home, I saw him a block down to my right, yet again, crossing the street, and he was looking around him as if he was searching. I quickly crossed the street before he saw me and ran in my house. Am I being irrational in my fear? I will say I have PTSD and deal with quite severe hypervigilance because of it, but the gut feeling was so intense. It was almost like a weird intuition thing. I haven't gone on walks since it happened. I keep pepper spray on me everywhere I go, but I am of small stature and feel as though I don't have much strength to be able to fight off an attack, so I'm just spooked. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you all enjoyed those stories, and as always, stay depraved.